Hello everybody, welcome back to X-Plane 11 once again. This is a sponsored video by Thrustmaster with the Airbus TCA Sidestick. As you can see here, that's what we're going to be using today. And we're flying a freeware airplane. This is the Hold My Beer SR22T-G6. And it is fantastic for what you get, basically it being freeware. And welcome inside the SR22. So if we come down here, we have a little tablet here that says everything we need. We have weight and balance, and we can take the shield off the airplane. That's what that was on the outside of it there. And then we can take the tie downs, the covers, and the chocks off as well. We can also fill the airplane up with fuel. Right now we got 39 gallons on each side. I'm happy with that. You can change how many people are on board here with the luggage pieces. You can open and close the luggage door, which is really cool. And then you have options to go full, half, and empty when it comes to payloads. If we click on the energy tab, you can see this is the current state of my batteries inside the airplane. This is an airplane that has wear and tear over the time that will lead up to failure. So it, based off of how you're flying it, is what you're going to get out of the airplane. Settings, here are some options there. As you can see, these are the ones that I'm using currently. I won't go into real detail with that. Weather shows you the local weather here, 3013, 1017 on millibars there. Temperature 31, and the winds are calm, so we're not worried about winds today. We're doing low vis approaches. And then the AVA tab is here. Here is our information here. We're going to be doing the RNAV 22 approach today, so I have that ready to go in here for us. I just wanted to show you some other things that it has. It has Pong. You can actually play Pong in this particular airplane, which is really cool. You have quick comms that allows you to jump between the comms if you're online. HMB Health shows you your felt temperature and blood oxygen content. This all matters when you are flying the airplane at certain altitudes. Maintenance here, you can do ground ice, refuel anti-ice liquid, and refuel oxygen. All this stuff can be done right here. You can go to the garage and you can change out everything here. You can see I've been taking care of the airplane, so no issues happening there. Birdwatch says no birds reported in the vicinity. The bird strikes and the engine failures and stuff like that's stuff that you cannot override. So with the bird watch, if there was a bird, sighting in the area, we would have to wait 10 minutes or so before we departed, so they would get out of there. Otherwise, you are risking a bird strike on your departure. Core flight, it's basically like a 4-flight kind of integration there. I don't have that, so we're not worried about it. Banking shows you how much money we have been spending with this airplane. $739 so far. I have been really enjoying this thing quite a bit. FBO here shows you all the information, the local airports. And then you have Discord, which opens up Discord for them. Weather maps, if you have Active Sky XP. Headset puts your headset on and off. You have a flashlight so you can look around at night. Interior lights on and off. And email lets you know the current version that you're on and all that stuff. So that's really cool. I love this airplane. It is fantastic, and you're going to see why. And a look at the outside view with the cover off of it, you can see that the airplane is really, really detailed. It is a payware quality airplane. Look at that. You can see just how much movement I'm giving the stick compared to what we're seeing there on the aileron. If you guys want to check out the Thrustmaster Airbus TCA Sidestick, all the links for that will be in the description below, and you can see where you can get it there. All right, not a lot to starting this airplane up. You can actually run the avionics separately of starting the engine. So we can have BAT 1, BAT 2, and avionics. We're going to let all this stuff fire up, and I'm going to let you hear all the sounds in it. The F-mod sounds are not the greatest thing in the world, but hey, it isn't bad for free. So we have here on the left-hand side our things, popping up. We have buses off and park and brake, and oil pressure's low because we haven't started the engine, of course. So over here on the right, this is where we can come into the procedure page, and what we're going to do is select an approach today, and we want the RNAV 22 GPS, that's LNAV and VNAV approach. I'm going to hit enter on that, and we'll get vectors to it. There we go. Minimums on this approach, if we look on Avatab, it's 300 feet, so we have that ready to go in there. There it is right there. Won't let me select 303. I did try by going that. You could do 310 if you wanted, but we're going to go 300 on that. Hit enter, and then we're going to activate it so it's ready to go when we get in the air. So we're going to take off on 1-4 since the winds are calm, and then we're going to make a left turn and come out, and we are going to be trying to grab Aerico. Once we get to Aerico, then we From 2,000, we'll descend down to 1,800 at Duray, and then we will start our approach to 2-2. So if we go miss, we'll go to beta. We're expecting that the ceiling should be right around 400 feet. So 300 on minimums, we're good to go on that. It's going to be interesting for certain. We're going to do one autopilot approach, and then we're going to do one manually to see how good we are at that. I'm not expecting a whole lot. So let's go ahead and fire up the airplane. First things first, we'll open up this, and we have a couple little beverages there you can drink if you wanted to. Soda pops. And then we have this key. We grab it, and that will put it right here into the ignition. Overhead, we need to turn the caps system on. We'll remove this before flight and then put that back. That is the little parachute that pops up in case of an emergency. All that stuff's good to go. We can actually come over here and we can hit checklist if we wanted to. And we got before starting engine checklist right here. Pre-flight inspection is complete. We can hit enter. It'll turn it green. Weight and balance, this is complete. Emergency equipment on board. Passengers have been briefed because we don't care. We're in a sim. Seats and seatbelts, harnesses are adjusted and secure. Circuit breakers. Always want to make sure these are popped in. If they are popped out, you'll see a red, and I've actually had one pop out on me before, and during this check, it was there, and I was able to get the problem taken care of before we got into the airplane. Starting engine. So external power, if applicable, not worried about the applicable, not worried about it. Brakes are set and hold. Batmaster switches are on, strobe lights and all that. We're going to go nav strobe for those. There's no beacon on this airplane. Mixture is going to go to full rich, so we just go full rich on the mixture. There we go, like that. And all we have to do now is go power lever full forward with the boost pump on. So we're going to get the boost pump on, go maximum power there, and then we're going to go off, and then we'll go back to quarter. So you can see right here, if we're following along on the checklist, we're down to mixture, power lever full forward, fuel pump. Oops, I meant to keep that on boost. My fault. And then you'll hear it shut off. It won't let it flood the engine, so you don't have to worry about that. And then prop area, it's kind of hard in this airplane, but we could always open the door and go, hey, clear prop. There we go. And then close the door again. They have those Lamborghini style doors. Really cool. So that's clear. And then power lever, like I said, a 1/4 inch. We have it set right there. All you have to do now is go ignition, switch to start, and it will fire right up. Just like that. And once the engine's running, we can go Alt-1, Alt-2 on. And everything is good there. Monitoring our engines. You can even hit system here and check out the engine systems. Really neat stuff. So that's all good to go. We can go back to our checklist. Prop area, we were good on all that stuff. Mixture, we would lean the airplane out, but we're not going to be taxiing very far, so we're not worried about that today. We're going to go ahead and just go past that. We're going to bring our power back to about 1,000 RPM. As you can see, we're doing it right there. Oil pressure is good. It's coming up into the green. That's what we want to see. Master switches are on. Avionics power switch is on. Engine parameters monitored. External power is not a thing. Amp is looking good. And we can even open up our system and double check everything right here with the electrical, and it's looking awesome. So you can click this little headset on and put the headset on if you'd like. It makes it a lot quieter in here. Also down here, you'll see you can switch between your two tanks. We have it on the left one here, but the reason why it won't let me change that is because of the setting I have in there to where it is not going to, it says fuel always from both tanks selected. That way I don't have to balance it while I'm flying. I don't fly it enough for that anyway. Let's make sure that our cabin looks good here. Put the air on. You'll hear it actually kick on. Really cool. We'll double check our takeoff trim here, and I've got the top little hat switch for my trim, and I like to be just about there on it. I don't want to have to pull back too far and get it skyrocketing. Flaps are up right now. Everything's good. We're ready to taxi out to runway 14. So just release the parking brake here, and we'll roll 4, and we have brakes. So brakes are good. We're not going to be doing a bunch of checklists here. I just wanted to do one to show you how the checklist system works in this airplane, which is really cool. So we're just going to make a right-hand turn here, make a left onto that taxiway, and then we'll be holding short for an intersection departure on runway 14 here in Sarasota, Bradenton International Airport. Just Kilo Sierra Romeo, Quebec. So on the way out, we can just we'll do our run up right when we get to the line and then all will be well. There's not a whole lot to the run-up anyway. We just want to make sure that the airplane is doing what it should do. And I love that because it really makes you care for the airplane you're flying. You know, whenever they have these kind of things added to a simulation, it really adds a lot to it. And what I mean by that is it makes you fly the airplane to its parameters correctly. You take care of it because you don't want to damage it. You don't want to hurt it. You can't really fly it like you stole it, you know? Anywho, how did everybody, or how was everyone's 4th of July weekend? I hope you had a good time. I had a good time as well. We had a little pool party, some friends, and a hold short of 1.4 right here. And this is where we're going to do the run-up. And we're not worried about pointing into the wind or anything because we don't need to. We're, you know, calm winds today. So parking brake is set. We're going to go up to 1,700 RPM. There's a lot to this little thing here. And if we actually went into the run-up, I would show you in the checklist. But we're not going to worry about that. System here on the page. We can see what we got going on here. Let's check our mags. We got that left one. There's our drop back to both. And then the right mag. There's our drop back to both. No prop on this airplane. And if you get this airplane, I'll have a link to the description below. If you do get it, make sure you don't have a prop axis assignment to it. You'll have a lot of issues if that is the case. So that's good to go. Everything's in the green. That's what we want to see. We can even check a alternator here. There it is right there. Make sure that it was good to go. It is part of the checklist, so sometimes I've seen real pilots not do it, so I don't know the actual thing to that. I've never flown a SR22. Okay, so that's good to go there. Hit back, and we'll bring this thing back to about 1,000 RPM. And then we get a landing light on. Release our parking brake. We're going to be ready to go on runway 14 for departure. I have a couple of views here on the left and right. I've got my left wing view and then our right wing view. The windows are a little tinted, a little too much for my taste, but it's still a cool addition to have it. So you can see we're not activating that approach 100%. Oh, actually, we have it activated already. Duh. I was going to do that in the air, but that's okay. We're lining up on the runway, and we are good to go. We're going to go ahead and advance the throttle to about 50%. Let the airplane slowly come on up there, and then we're going to slowly add that full power. There we go. And then those turbos are going to kick in. Man, she's really going to start screaming. We have airspeed alive there. Rotation speed's going to be right around 70 to 75 knots. There it is right there. So just ease back on it, and we are flying. All right, on up into the soup. It's not going to take long to get in the soup because minimums are at 300. Let's see where they're actually at here. Should be right around 400. We'll see. It's 1250. There's a minimum, which we're going to have to deal with later on. And we're going to be in it. So we're actually going to be shooting these down to the minimums. We're above 90 knots. We bring those flaps in. The nose is going to drop. There we go. Wonderful. And we're going to climb and maintain 3,000 feet on this current heading. So we're looking good on this heading. I'm going to go ahead and trim the airplane out a little bit here for about 1,200 feet per minute or so. That's actually not bad. And then we're going to mess around here with the autopilot system. So heading bug, we're going to swap that all the way back over here to us. Still hand flying the airplane. And we're going to be about a heading 134 for now. That's good there. So heading mode is selected there. And then altitude, we're going to be vertical speed on up, down a little bit more than that. There we go. And altitude will capture when we get there. So that's all good to go right now. We go ahead and hit AP for autopilot. The autopilot will take over the airplane, make sure it's doing what it should do. And that's not too shabby right there. 30.5 on the manifold pressure we want to have. There we go. And we could even lean the airplane out for that cyan line right there if we wanted to as well. But we're not going to worry about that stuff today. We're just doing, practice approaches, so not a huge deal there. You can see we're still in the soup. Actually, about to break out of it now. There we are at 2,000 feet. One to go. That's what that chime was. And now we're going to go left turn to about a heading of 040. So let's go ahead and start that to 040, climbing for 3,000. and then we'll get briefed on this whole arrival, or the approach to 2-2. There we go, looking good. It's really cool to fly at minimums, and I was getting some comments, recently in the Fly With Me series, and you guys want to see more challenging approaches and things like that, so that's exactly what we are doing. Did not want 030, wanted 040. There we go, and rolling off there. So the airplane's actual performance is not extremely realistic. Based off of what I've seen real SR22s on YouTube do, it seems it's a little overpowered. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull my power back. And unfortunately, the F-mod sounds on this aren't good enough to where you're gonna hear these huge changes in the engine. So it's kind of hard to really tell what it's doing. But you can always look at, I'm at 61% power there, and 61% power on the top left shows right there as well. So we're on our little approach here, and if we go to our Avatab page and we look at our RNAV approach, you can see there we are on our left side, or sorry, the right side of the airport. And we're going to go all the way up to about where bridge, you see where this bridge transition is. We're going to go up to about there and make that left turn at 297, and then we will intercept the LNAV for the GPS RNAV approach, and then we'll grab LNAV as well. There's LNAV on this one, which is really cool. 1016 is fine for that. We can actually go up to 1017. There's supposed to be a way where you can actually change that to inches, but I haven't been able to do it, unfortunately. And we're just cruising along here, right on top of the clouds. So in the systems page, we can always click on fuel, and you can see all the initial usable fuel here and all the information you need. Pretty darn cool. Back to the engine instruments. Now, I know when you're actually going to be leaning this engine out for when you're at cruise, you would have an option there to assist with that, and then you would find the peak, but it's not modeled in this particular one. See, we're only cruising with about 63% power because we're not trying to go super fast here, but I've got to say, with a tailwind especially, this is a fast airplane. It's really sleek for a GA airplane, and it gets you where you need to go pretty darn fast. So we're just about to be perpendicular to Aerico there. So we're going to make a left turn heading 297. So let's go ahead and start that. 297. Which is going to be right about there. And the airplane is starting to turn that way now. So to intercept it, it's kind of like shooting an approach in like a 737 or 757 or whatever. Top of descent within 1 minute. You got it. So we're going to be top of descent. We need to get down to 2100 for that. So we're going to go down to 2100. Let's go ahead and go altitude selection to 2100. And then we can go to vertical speed, and we can go down this way just by a little bit there. We pull our power back just a tad. And there's the airplane starting its descent. Yep, within 1 minute. You got it. We're going to be all right. I promise you. So that's good to go there. So basically, to arm it, you're just going to hit approach. That's it. So once we get happy with our intercept angle, we'll be good to go here. So we want to be Aerico there. So once we get a little closer here, now I'm going to give myself a intercept heading, which we're going to go for about 245 there. I want it to be a little shallow. There we go. Because we don't have to be perfect at Aerico, Because if you look at here, Aerico is 2,000, and then we want to be down at 1,800 at Duray, so 2,000 it is. There we go. And we can make that a little more healthy descent. There we go. Pull our power back a little bit more. And now we can arm the approach. So we click that, and it is ready to go. So once we grab the LNAV path, you're going to see it come to life. Right now the airplane is turning a little bit more right to get lined up on it. And we're kind of outside of Aerico here. We're not flying this perfectly. We're taking our time with it. but it won't be a problem. We're a pretty slow airplane. Our power back a little bit more there. And we're waiting to grab that LNAV, which we're just about to. We can actually go ahead and turn a little bit more to the right here. It seems to be doing A-okay right now. So we're waiting for that to come down, and then we want to be at Duray 1,800 feet. So let's go ahead and go here. We'll select that to 1,800, and it won't take very long to get down there, so we start our descent just a little bit with vertical speed and drop it down about right there. And we're going to get down to 1,800, so it's happy for that. We're going to be descending into the soup here in just a few moments. We're going to see ourselves turn onto it. All right, we have LNAV capture right now, and we are turning on to the magenta line, and our GP/V is white. We have not activated that yet. We're holding at about 1,800 feet, since that's what they want us to do when we get to Duray. As you can see down here, 1,800 for the final approach fix. So once that happens, we should be seeing some glide path activity happening, and we'll start slowing the airplane down from there. We can see the little dot now, or the magenta diamond, as you see right there, coming down. That is the glide path. This is the track 223 in 10 seconds as it gets to Duray. And once we grab that glide path, you're going to see it happen here. I'm going to keep it zoomed in so you can see exactly what it does. And just one more away from that happening. There it is right there. As you can see, GP just lit up green. We're now utilizing the glide path. I'm going to pull power back to about 35% right now. Like I said, you can't really tell the difference in the sound since the FMOD sound set is what it is, but we're just kind of going with it. Not a huge deal. And we're going to fly this thing down to minimums on the autopilots and see how that turns out. Then once we land, we're going to go ahead and do a touch and go, and we will fly back up and shoot the approach again, but we'll do it manually this time. So now we're almost to the next one, which is Riddle, and it will be distance to track at 223 on that. We've got the glide path looking great here. We are currently 0.7 miles to Riddle. Once we get to Riddle, we're going to start that a little bit more of a downward angle here. So I'm going to pull my power back a little bit more, managing the airspeed. We need to be below 110 knots when we put the first notch of flaps in. You can see we're starting to come through everything now. So we're pulling our power back 2 miles out to the runway. I know, manifold pressure, you add it a little bit more. It's hard to really hear that in the engine, but that's okay. And we're going to be breaking out before too long here. We're below 110. We go notch 1 of our flaps here. And pull our power a little bit more there. So we're going to be aiming for about 90 knots or so here. And then we'll be shooting for about 85 knots to the runway. So once we break out, we'll turn the autopilot off. Waiting for that to happen. So about 90 knots or so here, looking great. And we're about 1.5 miles out now. We're going to wait for about 1 mile or a mile final. We're going to go ahead and add that last setting of flaps, and we'll be good to go there. So not too much longer. It's kind of harrowing whenever you're just sitting in the soup, you know? All right, there we are. There's the breakout. And we're already on our last notch of flaps, so I can go ahead and hit my red button here on top of the stick, and it's my airplane. And we're going to be aiming for that 85 knots as we get closer to the piano keys and the numbers. Keep that downward angle there. We can fly the flight director, and we can fly the instruments, or we could just, you know, keep an eye on those lights and fly those as well, which we're going to do from here on out with this approach. So pull back a little bit more power here. Like I said, I want to be about 85, going over the numbers here. There we go, and go completely back on the power. And it doesn't take much to get this thing into a flare. Hold it back a little bit more. There she goes. Just bleeds off all that energy. Wonderful. Bring the flaps up. And go 50% power here. And slowly add that power back in. And we're doing our first touch and go. 70 knots. Right there's a rotation speed. Back on up into the air we go. It's not going to take much to get back into the soup. Above 90 knots, we bring the flaps back in. And here we are. So now we're going to hand fly this whole approach. So this is going to be a little more fun here. So let's get the trim where we need it. And we're going to trust our instruments all the way out on this departure. So here's our left-hand turn. Nice and shallow. Doesn't matter. Winds are calm, so we're not worried about, you know, the upwind and downwind legs. Watching our climb rate here. We're looking okay. And I'm trimming the airplane for what we want here. About 30 degree of bank. And we're going to turn left to a heading about 040. And we'll be pretty close to grabbing this approach again. We don't have to touch very much. It's set to the rollout position. I might have to reactivate the whole thing, vectors to final again, so we can shoot it again. Otherwise, it'll be kind of stupid. We're looking okay here. Bring it nose down a little bit more. Have to retrim it. There we go. Much better. And we'll descend back down about, well, let's hold about 2,000 feet here, because we know we need to be at 1,800 when we get out to Duray. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and just keep hand flying the airplane right now, and we're going to try to activate that again. Go to Procedures and activate Vector to Final. There we go. And that's all you got to do. If you don't have a glide path popping up, you must make sure you activate your Vector to Final, not just activating their approach. Sometimes it can get a little confusing, but that's okay. All right, let's go ahead and start our way down to 1,800 feet now. It's not going to take us too long to get to Duray. But we'll see how well we can fly this and go back on our power a little bit here, too. Let the airplane just slowly make its way down. And zoom in our range a little bit here. Because the turning rate on this airplane is pretty quick, so we don't have to be like way out to shoot these approaches. But we do want to make sure we're doing what we should be doing, which is following the flight director and stuff. So let's go ahead and start paying attention to that stuff. I don't want to descend that heavy. Yeah, it won't take very long to get back to 1,800, so I'm fine with that. Now we're just following that flight director. Back to the horizon here. Watching speed. I'm pulling power back just a little bit. Not too much. There we go. So now I'm going to trim this thing out for 1,800 feet. And our current speed. Add a little bit more power here. We want to stabilize our speed. I don't want it all over the place like that. There we go. We're just going to fly out towards Duray. And we'll use that as our main focus. I'm trying to get a little bit more squared up here, so we'll have a left turn. About 5 degrees to that. A little bit more power. I'm happy with about 130 knots right now. I don't need to be going, which is funny. It's like a cruise, a maximum, that's like a cruise speed for a 172, and we're just kind of just blazing around here, no problem. That's what's really cool about the Cirrus. And nose up a little bit. There we go. Okay, beautiful. So now we're pretty much perpendicular to Duray, and remember, we can just fly this whole approach. So we're gonna start that left turn. There looking good. And that should be on approach nav, so we can grab the flight director for that. Back up to 1800 here. I'm going to get an intercept angle on this. And we'll grab the LNAV path. There's a couple clicks of trim back, and it's feeling pretty darn good right there, holding about 1,800 feet. Here comes the turn, as we have grabbed the LNAV now. And we can start to see glide path coming down now, which is really nice. We're going to follow that flight director all the way. Ooh, hello. Turn out on it like that. There we go. Follow these guys. Still have the flight director. There goes the nozzle down a little bit. Pull our power back just a tad. And around Riddle, we're going to be wanting to be at about below 110 knots so we can add those flaps in and get set up for landing. I'm just following the flight director, and we're maintaining the glide path pretty decently by doing that. All right, pull our power back a little bit here. It's not going to take much to get where we're going. Here we go, a little bit more left. Pretty happy with that. I'll power a little bit more so we're getting there slowed down. Especially once we get to Riddle. A little low on the approach, bring it back up. And I can trim the airplane to help us out here. The reason why we're having it drop on us like that is because we pulled the power back a little too much there. Looking good about right here, though. Pretty happy with it. Better be high on the approach than low. Below 110. We'll really wait till we're below 110 here, though. Get back up on it. It's easy for the airplane to start dropping on us there. So first notch of flaps. Fly the flight director. This is the money maker here. This is where pilots earn their money in the commercial space. And flying low-vis approaches like this. Okay, pretty good there. I'm happy with that. Pretty stable with it, too. We didn't put our minimums in, so we're not going to get a minimums call out. We're just going to do our thing here. That's okay. I don't want to mess with it now since we're flying the approach. That nose. We should be breaking out here in just a few moments. There we go. One thing about this Cirrus band, it does love to float. So you got to pull that power a little earlier than you would anticipate normally. There, a little bit more power there. And we'll go final notch flaps here. There we go. There's the breakout. Just a little bit to the right, not too much. We'd be down at minimums where the 300 is there. I think it's still in there, it's just not yellow. There's minimums. Landing. Okay. No, I remembered it then. I wasn't sure if I had to reprogram that or not. And that's what it's like shooting a approach by hand with no autopilot. You see the difference between having autopilot and not. It's, you know, the autopilot's there as a tool to help you with your workload. Okay, coming right over the piano keys, so we're going to take the engine back to idle here. So, full idle right there. Bring that nose up in the round out. Don't have to use very much rudder at all here. Come on, baby. On down. And we will bring the nose wheel down. And there we go. And the brakes on this particular airplane are pretty squirrely. So we're just going to let it bleed its energy off naturally here. But it has great brakes. Great brakes. Ooh, hello. Right turn here, we'll taxi into Dolphin. Just like that, bring up those flaps. And we turn that landing light off as well. Welcome back to Sarasota. So hopefully that makes sense to you. It was a lot of fun though. These are the kind of approaches I enjoy doing, and I agree that, you know, a lot of the X-Plane content recently has been pretty nice flying. I don't mean for that to be the case, but, well, the New Orleans one wasn't the greatest weather, but I do want to do some more little fun things like this, like shooting an RNAV approach in minimums is a lot of fun to do, especially by hand. And I got to say, you know, with this Thrustmaster TCA Sidestick, I am being sponsored by them, so I am, you know, being paid to make this video for Thrustmaster. But it wouldn't change anything anyway. It's just kind of what I do. So whenever I talk about the Sidestick, keep that in mind. I am not giving you a review on it. I personally like it. I can tell you I like it a lot. And you can see the difference between me flying a big, huge A321 and now flying a little Cirrus SR22. And it's a smooth stick, man. And having that Hall effect is really, really nice. It's just super smooth in the center of the stick, and that's what matters, especially when, you know, you're in a flare when you're landing. Pull our power a little bit here. Cool. Awesome. And we'll go ahead and pull the parking brake, just like that. And to shut it down, pretty simple. I'm just gonna kill the mixture here. There it was. That's all it takes right there. Just to drop that, and then we turn off all of our switches. Key goes to the off position, and the key goes back in where we got it. There we go. We can now have our other drink. There we go. And then you open the door. That is all there is to it, folks. Weight and balance, we'll go ahead and put our shield, tie downs, covers, chocks, all that stuff. You can even have a preheat, and what I'll show you what that is here, and that is the little heater for if you're in the winter time. Pretty cool having that out there. Don't need that, but you get the idea for the most part. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of X-Plane 11. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. I will see you all next time. Take care.